The debate over the future of Gaza enters a new and urgent phase as Qatar and Egypt issue one of their strongest coordinated calls yet for the implementation of the second phase of the truce agreement. Their message, delivered from the Doha Forum and echoed by scenes of devastation in Khan Yunis, reveals a widening gap between what the mediators consider essential steps towards stability and what is actually happening on the ground. The situation is increasingly fragile, shaped by diplomatic tension, humanitarian crisis, and a ceasefire that both countries insist is nowhere close to being honoured in practice. As the forum convenes, Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelatty speaks with an unusual sharpness. His remarks highlight what Cairo sees as a fundamental violation of humanitarian norms. He stresses that Israel's continued control over the Rafah crossing and the movement of Palestinians is unacceptable. His warning resonates through the conference hall as he says, the Israelis are closing the Rafah crossing from Gaza side and we are insisting, and this is a red line for us, that the Rafah crossing will not be a gate for displacement or for putting people out of their homeland. There is no ethical or moral justification to displace the Palestinians. This is their homeland and they should be there. His tone underscores a message Egypt has been repeating for months, but now delivers with heightened urgency. Gaza cannot be stabilized if the movement of its people is controlled in a way that risks permanent displacement. The voiceover takes the viewer from Doha to the battered streets of Khan Yunis, where the consequences of the two-year conflict remain starkly visible. Shepherds guide their flocks through fields of scattered waste, scenes that would once have belonged to pastoral Gaza but now reflect a territory scarred beyond recognition. Families gather near a battered tractor and trailer as others sift through piles of garbage, searching for salvageable items. It is a portrait of daily struggle where survival depends on what can be found in the ruins of former neighborhoods. A child clings to the back of a broken truck surrounded by tents, while a young girl walks down a dirt road flanked by bomb-shattered buildings. Camps swelling with displaced families fill the landscape, with children digging through debris in search of anything that might provide warmth or food. These images underline that for many Palestinians, the truce has changed little. The bombs may have stopped, but life remains suspended in insecurity and deprivation. Back in Doha, Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Thani delivers another pivotal message. The world should not mistake the current pause in fighting for an actual ceasefire. His words cut directly through the diplomatic fog. We are at a critical moment. It's not yet there, so what we have just done is a pause. We cannot consider it yet a ceasefire. A ceasefire cannot be completed unless there is a full withdrawal of the Israeli forces. There is stability back in Gaza. People can go in and out, which is not the case. This statement reframes the global narrative. While several governments have treated the October 10 truce as a turning point, Qatar insists it is only an incomplete, fragile pause, one that risks collapsing entirely unless the next phase is implemented. At the heart of the truce agreement is a roadmap shaped by Qatar, Egypt, and the United States. The roadmap outlines a second phase where Israel would withdraw from positions inside Palestinian territory. After this withdrawal, an interim authority would be formed to manage essential services and security. Alongside this authority, an international stabilization force approved and deployed by participating states would take up positions in Gaza to prevent renewed conflict. This force would play a central role in rebuilding governance structures, supporting humanitarian needs, and ensuring the ceasefire's sustainability. Yet this next phase has not even begun. Israeli forces remain in place across strategic areas of Gaza. Movement restrictions continue. And humanitarian conditions, instead of improving, are deteriorating week by week. This is why Qatar and Egypt, both deeply involved in negotiating the truce, now sound the alarm. They insist that without immediate implementation, the truce itself could unravel. Egypt's concerns extend beyond the battlefield into the political and moral arena. Abdelatty repeats his warning several times during the forum, emphasizing that the displacement of Palestinians, whether intentional or a byproduct of restrictions, is unacceptable. Each time he repeats the line, "There is no ethical or moral justification to displace the Palestinians," his voice underscores the depth of Cairo's frustration. This message is not aimed only at Israel, but at the broader international community, many of whom have remained hesitant to confront the long-term implications of mass displacement. Egypt fears that continued displacement could fundamentally reshape the region's demographics and destabilize its own borders. Cairo has long insisted that Rafah must not become an outlet for emptying Gaza's population. Egypt's national security rests on the belief that Palestinians must remain in their homeland and that any arrangement suggesting otherwise is a red line. Qatar, meanwhile, focuses on the urgency of restoring mobility, governance and humanitarian access. For Doha, the immediate priority is to create conditions where Palestinians can return to functioning daily life. Without freedom of movement, without the withdrawal of troops, and without a credible stabilization force, Doha sees no realistic path to a permanent ceasefire. Sheikh Mohammed's insistence that people cannot go in and out, which is not the case, highlights how disconnected the reality is from the diplomatic language used by many global actors. But efforts to assemble an international force face their own challenges. Several Arab and Muslim countries have expressed reluctance to participate, fearing that joining such a mission could be construed as aligning with Israel or becoming entangled in direct conflict alongside Palestinian factions. The force would require not just political will, but also the ability to operate in a landscape where both armed groups and desperate civilians are navigating the aftermath of war. It is a mission with unclear risks and unpredictable outcomes, and many governments fear being drawn into a conflict zone without a clear framework or guarantee of neutrality. Still, Qatar and Egypt argue that this force is essential. Without it, there is no mechanism to ensure compliance with the truce or to rebuild the structures necessary for long-term stability. As Abdelatty stresses, violations of the ceasefire continue daily. His claim that Israel is repeatedly breaching the agreement adds weight to the call for independent enforcement on the ground. The images from Khan Yunis serve as painful evidence of why the force matters. Displaced families live among debris in makeshift shelters. Children drag bags of garbage because waste has become a source of survival. These scenes reveal the collapse of basic infrastructure: sanitation, electricity, food distribution, medical care. With every passing week, the humanitarian crisis deepens. Stabilization is not an abstract political idea. It is the difference between life and death for thousands. As the script continues, the diplomatic tone of the forum contrasts sharply with the reality in Gaza. In Doha, leaders speak in controlled formal language about agreements, red lines, and phases yet to be implemented. In Gaza, every day brings new hardship. While diplomats debate the details of an international force, Palestinians navigate a landscape of hunger, loss, and uncertainty. The dissonance between negotiation rooms and devastated streets captures the central challenge of this moment. Diplomacy is moving too slowly for a population that cannot wait. Yet Qatar and Egypt remain committed mediators. Despite obstacles, they emphasize that the roadmap is the only viable path forward. The alternative is a return to violence, one that neither Gaza nor the region can afford. The truce has offered a glimpse of what reduced violence might look like, but it has not ended suffering. For the truce to evolve into genuine peace, its second phase must begin. Troops must withdraw. Humanitarian access must expand. Governance structures must be rebuilt. And an international force must be deployed with clear authority and adequate support. The script concludes with a reflection on urgency. Both Qatar and Egypt warn that the window is closing. Without immediate action, the fragile pause risks collapsing under the weight of violations and humanitarian desperation. Their message is as much a warning as it is a plea. The world must move from rhetoric to implementation. Gaza cannot withstand the consequences of further delay.